Hello, and you're very welcome to Mind Blowing 14. I'm Paul Gill.
And I'm Siobhan Lyon, and today we're going to be talking about brainwashing.
Yeah.
Very exciting stuff.
When most people think of brainwashing, I assume they're probably thinking of the military and, putting electrodes and torturing somebody.
Yeah.
Confining them. But we're all brainwashed.
But the first thing that came into my head was we brainwash our children.
Well, you do. You
Yeah,
do. Take responsibility.
yeah.
To comment on that.
To conform and be a certain way, so you get into it.
You do, and that's for their own good, isn't it? For
Yeah.
their own benefit, for their benefit and the benefit of society. You want them to fit in so they'll be accepted.
Good for my kids, not for yours, though.
Yeah.
You're really screwed yourself.
That's a different podcast. Anyways, we are susceptible to brainwashing because we're constantly bombarded with influences in the media in particular. I'm doing something at the moment. I've been doing it over the last probably month or 6 weeks where I'm deliberately not listening to the news.
Oh, yeah. That's so good for you, by the way.
Yeah, I've done it before. I did it for 90 days before as a kind of an experiment.
Yeah.
And people were volunteering news to me, running up to me, telling me something. Go away. Don't want to know that. And the reason I'm doing it is because a lot of the news tends to be negative. It's about what's happened that's terrible, what's wrong, who's got killed, who's died, there's explosions. And, some news channels, they will at the end put in a feel-good story, but it's about a squirrel who fell off a tree and somebody caught it in a trampoline. And it's irrelevant. It doesn't really mean anything. But they bombarded you with negative news for the first 5 minutes of the broadcast. And what's your mind going to do with that? Well, you can kind of go, well, I can take it or leave it. No, you can't.
Yeah.
That news gets into your head.
Yeah.
And when you hear anything, your mind tries to match it with something you already know. So if I say something to you, like if I say apple, what pops into your head?
Tree.
Tree. Most people would think of Steve Jobs. You think of a tree.
Really?
But that's where you're at, Siobhan.
That's where I'm at. I am connected with nature.
Right. And
my talk would suggest.
Yes. Yes. Environmentally friendly.
Yes.
But when we have a database in our heads, and a database of all the information that we've ever been exposed to. And I would have said it before, but it's worth saying again, that fear is our greatest emotion. And I deliberately use that word greatest because I mean the strongest, the most influential. People think it's love. It's not love.
Love is the most powerful thing in the world.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
I wouldn't put it between powerful and grateful. Greatest. No, love is the most desirable.
It's the most damaging.
That's another podcast. But love is the most desirable.
Yeah, everybody wants to feel loved or be loved.
But fear is the thing that gets us to take action.
It really drives people, doesn't it?
Really drives people. So when you're fearful about something, you take action, and usually the action isn't a considered action. It isn't thought through. It's just a reflex, a response. And when you are exposed to fearful news, you think fearful thoughts. Your mind has to add it to its database somewhere. And when I do hypnosis with people who don't understand how hypnosis works, it's the power of suggestion. You implant ideas into somebody's head. You mention something. So, say with smoking, for example.
You brainwash people.
I do. I brainwash people. But I say to them, look, you're brainwashed anyways. You might as well control what you're brainwashed to.
What do you want to be brainwashed about?
Yeah, pick and choose what you want to be brainwashed. So I say to people, sometimes it's a permissive approach to stop smoking. So I don't know whether it will be today or whether it will be now or whether it will be later on this evening that you become a non-smoker.
Yeah.
But implied in that is the suggestion that you are going to become a non-smoker. It's not up for debate. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
And that gets into a person's head because it's not offensive, you're not challenging them or whatever, it slips into their psyche.
So how much of that is based on a person's decision, their own decision? They make a decision, I am going to stop smoking.
Well, you see, they've made a decision in that they've come to me in the first place.
Yeah.
So it's not as if I'm walking up to somebody in the street and saying this.
Exactly.
They have decided, I want to come to this guy to give up smoking, but I'm a little bit worried, a little bit apprehensive that maybe it mightn't work.
What'll I do without it?
What'll I do without it? The panic, the anxiety. But in that you suggest that it is going to work, their mind takes in that and says it's going to work. It's going to be now or it's going to be this evening. And that's what their mind is thinking over. And then you will layer that with other suggestions about how good they might feel in times previously when they felt really good. And again, they're accessing the databases to previous times they felt good, and then they're relating that to I'm feeling good because I'm not smoking.
Yes.
So you're connecting things. You're doing a bit of wiring subliminally. Yeah. But when you expose yourself to negativity,
Mhm.
it has a devastating effect.
Yeah.
Many people that help with anxiety, Siobhan, they'll tell you, like, kind of, what are you anxious about? What are you worried about? They'll tell you a load of stuff straight on. And I just go, well, what's actually working in your life? What are you happy about? Say nothing. And that's not actually true.
Yeah, because there's got to be stuff like you're going
But
to
they're not looking for it.
Yeah.
Because they're conditioned to look for the negativity. It's
Yeah.
what they're used to.
Yeah.
And when you conditionally, or when you continually expose your mind to, well, the news is on, it's on every hour. On the hour, sometimes it's on every half hour as well. There's an expectation that I'm going to be exposed to some difficult news, some traumatic stuff, some fearful thoughts here. And it's almost as if you become addicted to it.
You do, definitely. I agree with that, because the body releases chemicals that you become addicted to. So it's like becoming addicted to pain and suffering, and all of that kind
Some
of thing.
people are into that.
It's also
Sadomasochism.
Yeah. That's a part of it.
S&M.
Yeah, but it's not about pain and suffering. That's more about pain and pleasure. It's a bit different.
But you see, people do get pleasure from pain. You see, it's the thing, and you can become addicted to that pleasure through pain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
which is again, it's a topic for another podcast, maybe down the line.
Yeah, definitely.
But I suppose, whatever about the news, the people you expose your mind to can have a devastating effect on you as well.
Yeah, like these conspiracy theories as well. I know it's a big topic.
Yeah.
To get into, but I think that
all our politicians are aliens.
And
have you seen some? They really are. They look a little bit odd.
Like they really are. Anyways, I think we're a bit odd as well. Maybe we're a bit that way too. I think you're a lizard person.
I could be.
You've lost all your hair, and you're looking a bit scared.
Well, I don't really hear you lizards. I don't know what there might be some out there.
There might be. There might be. It's possible.
Yeah, if anybody has a hairy lizard and wants a kindred spirit,
hop it in there.
Yeah,
let's have a look at it.
But even more so,
bad, because I think that they make people addicted then to this news, that are just really so negative and so toxic in their lives, and then they're slipping other neo-Nazi stuff in the background, or gay hate and different, racism, and there's loads of stuff.
You see, that's like the power of suggestion, isn't it? They're kind of just linking and connecting stuff that isn't necessarily connected, but they mention the two of the things.
Then before you know it, you're believing all of this stuff.
It has an effect. Even if you consider it to try to dismiss it out of your head, it's already become ingrained.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And the news, watching RTE News is the same, or whatever channel you watch in your country, like it's whatever your local news is.
Yeah.
You become addicted to that news, of knowing. And it's like an insecurity within people though as well, that you need to know something. You think you know more.
I was thinking of this morning. Like, I remember when I was a kid, like we went fishing or whatever, and somebody bring a transistor radio maybe to listen to a football match.
Yeah.
But it was kind of like, turn that on there now, the 1 o'clock news will be on.
Yeah. Yeah. Habit.
Yeah. Whereas now it's different, because you've got exposure to news whenever you want. It's 24/7.
Yeah.
Not just in telly, but Googling. Google it whenever you want to. But I'm thinking more so now, Siobhan, about people, ordinary people that you surround yourself with, that can have a devastating effect on your psyche. People who are negatively set up, people who come in and they'll go on. I know somebody, like when I was a kid, she was a relative of my mother or father's. She kind of go, oh, here she's coming again, and she was kind of like, oh, did you hear so and so is sick, and somebody else has died, and somebody else got run over by a calf on a bicycle. Stupid stuff, and you kind of by ourselves, because myself and my sister and whatever, we used to be exaggerating, mimicking her, all these horrible things, and she was just a bucket full of moaning, moaning, and she'd be talking over whatever you were kind of watching the telly, and she was just in your head. She'd stay for maybe half an hour, 40 minutes, and she was still there in your head when she was gone. I was like, oh my God. Science, and I would have spoken about this previously, but again, it's worth reminding people who might have heard of previous podcasts. They've shown that somebody who's got a bright disposition, what we say, somebody will light up the room.
Oh yeah.
Put them in a room,
a good aura,
darkened room. They can do, I think it's called Callidian photography. They can photograph them.
They can,
and see the brightness. See the brightness.
Isn't that amazing?
Put them in a room with a person who's very negative. The aura disappears. It's not as if the negative person steals it and is now wearing their aura. No, both of them are now dark.
It just deteriorated.
Everything's dark. The energy is absorbed by the blackness.
By the darkness.
Yeah, the dark side.
Ooh, scary.
Yeah. So I make no apology. Like I hear horrendous things. You hear horrendous things
Yeah.
in the work that we're doing. But that's work.
Mm.
And I don't bring any of that home with me. And if I did bring something home with me, I go to I kind of therapy myself. It's different. It's supervision where I can talk to somebody about it,
Yeah.
get it out of my head. But make no apology for, if there is somebody negative, very negative in your life, and they've this habit of coming up to you, telling you all the woes, everything that's wrong in the world. Don't apologize for it. Kind of go, look, I need to go. I need to.
Yeah. But I mean, I think that's the first thing we do when we're on a path to recovery, or, even enlightenment or something, along those lines, is you get rid of all the negative people and negative things out of your life. That's something that I practice regularly, is making sure that I have good people in my life, or that I watch positive things on the television. I rarely watch TV, but when I do, I pick comedy. I pick something that's going to make me laugh and bring me joy, rather than something that's going to be really suspenseful or scare me. I'm not interested in being frightened or having negative things coming in on top of me. I kind of have enough of that. So what you want is to bring joy
I don't watch
into
all
your
that telly either. I do pick things to watch.
Yeah.
Documentaries or YouTube or maybe selected things. Because again, I like to control the inputs into my brain.
Exactly.
If the brainwashing is going to happen, which it is, I might as well decide. It's like going for a meal. You can decide what to have.
Once you become aware of it and how it impacts you,
Yeah,
I think that's when you can make a change.
But you started off by talking about our kids and the way we brainwash our kids. But the brainwashing happens from day one. And it happens through school and through religion, and then maybe politics as well. We're conditioned to believe things.
Yeah, absolutely. What's right and what's wrong.
And we don't question these beliefs until there's a crisis, maybe. I would often ask the question, what did you believe 5 years ago that you don't necessarily believe now?
That's a really good question, actually, because you really have to think about it, because mostly we forget what happened 5 years ago, what we were worrying about back then.
Yeah, and a better question is, what will you not believe in 5 years' time that you currently believe? You're always supposed to be changing, always evolving. That's my philosophy of life. If you're not changing, you're dead. You're not moving. Everything's
the major things in the news over here anyway would have been maybe 5-6 years ago. We had a lot of refugees coming into the country. A lot of mixed views about that. Some people didn't want them coming, and other people did. And there was a lot of fear actually around them coming in. They said, "Oh, what if they start forming an army over here and killing everybody?"
We can't afford to have our own army. I heard recently as a guy talking about the fact that we've got no planes in our military. We can't get our troops off the island. So we would declare war on anybody. You're safe enough. We have to hitch a lift to get to your country.
Yeah, we're not that well resourced over here.
But this fear of people coming into our country, it's because we don't know them.
Yes.
And the unknown is fearful.
Yeah. It was the same when, when it stopped being illegal to be gay, for example. I mean, there's so much change in life, and in generations, I suppose, isn't there?
Yeah, and it's, you see, I suppose, like our generation, we had the marriage referendum, lots of different referendums, and in the next generation, the one that comes after us, that'll just be the norm. I'm not saying that has been anything exceptional. That this is, people have the right to marry whoever they want to marry, whatever. And they'll think it was like very, I was going to say barbaric, but maybe archaic, that we had these rules in the first place.
Yeah, absolutely.
What you could do and what you couldn't do. It's like when we look back in medieval times, like, the way they used to test if somebody was a witch, like you tie her to a chair, throw her in a river.
Yeah, and if she sinks,
she's okay.
If
she's okay, if she floats, she's a witch, and when she gets killed, she gets killed.
Yeah.
And it was all men that was doing this to women. There was no man ever accused of being a witch. It would have been a warlock, but I don't think there was any tests for warlocks from the earth.
There wasn't have been.
The Salem witch trials, like that became ridiculous. Like there was just people accusing other people of being witches.
Oh my God.
And I was just in the word of somebody. I saw her doing something. She was cooking dinner. No, she wasn't. She was stewing lizards.
Oh God.
Although they couldn't have a
I
lizard.
am mute.
That kind of thing. But people, whether they were doing it for nefarious reasons or whether they genuinely believed that this person was a witch, they were conditioned and brainwashed, and they were looking for them and the female population of Salem dropped hugely. They actually nearly ran out of women to be witch.
Jesus.
Statistically, you were more likely to be a witch back then, and say than
Oh my
anything else.
God.
This is your profession, your CV.
But I think, like, if you spoke out at all, or if you had any opinion,
Oh, you weren't allowed to have any opinions.
there was
No,
nothing like
no.
that.
I think it was.
Wasn't
I
allowed.
think. I think it was whatever referendum would give women the right to have opinions. I think it was. Yeah.
No, he's going downhill here.
Yeah.
I can see it coming.
Just not telling us what to think next.
Oh my God.
To do.
Shut up, Paul.
Well, and maybe on that note, I should shut up. Thank you for indulging and listening to us, wasting 20 minutes of your life you can never get back again. But we'd like to think that we've had some impact on you and your brain function. And if you've been adversely affected by this, I don't want to know.
Oh my God,
But download
don't want
us,
to know.
share us, like us, all of that kind of thing. Subscribe to us.
Absolutely. And if you have any questions or anything about today's podcast or anything that you'd like us to work on,
The vulnerable incident.
we'll answer you if you just pop that down below in the comment section, and we'd be delighted to come back to you. Thanks for listening, guys.
Bye.